and welcome to our first edition of the CC Musician Factory. That's Charlotte County Musician Factory. We're here at the beautiful Celtic Rave Public House, on the stage actually, and we are here with Michael Haymans, local musician and lawyer, of course. Michael comes from a very beloved family here in town, the Haymans family, but we're going to focus on his music career tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Music career, that's two words that hardly go together. So.
Well, I understand that totally, but yes, we are going to focus on your musician career. He is very well known around here. He's done several things as a lawyer, and he's also well known for the most popular Freedom Swim that's every July 4th. So if you participate in that, this is Michael Haymans. So Michael, tell me, what made you first want to become a musician?
Johnny Cole and I were protesting the burning of the fish shacks in Pine Island Sound and in Bull Bay and Turtle Bay, and we started a protest song, and John played guitar and I sang and did some of the lyrics. So we co-wrote a song, and then we thought, well, that's pretty good. We made it on TV with it, with the protest, and so we started going to the surface clubs, the Rotaries and the and Kiwanis and such as that, and we figured we probably ought to build a couple more songs into the story that we were telling, and so we were writing songs, and I was always waiting on him for the tunes and such as that, and I had a guitar that someone had left with me that I'd just been storing for him, and we put some new strings on it, and John showed me a couple of chords, and I started playing music because I didn't want to wait on anybody else as I was writing music. Mm-hmm. So I came to it really through lyrics and then impatience.
So when was this? Was this shortly?
1988.
Okay.
88.
Shortly after college?
Yeah, I was here practicing law, so I was already an adult. I was 35 before I started playing guitar.
Okay, wow, that is a little later than I expected.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I still don't consider myself much of a musician. I do hope that I come across as an entertainer.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. At the end of the day, you want to entertain the crowd, of course. Did you ever have any music teachers, or did you just teach yourself?
Well, John Cole showed me a few things. I had the chord books and such as that, and sort of worked and taught myself along that way. Really, 15 minutes a day makes all the difference in the world, rather than 2 hours every couple of days. 15 minutes a day, and you can start making music a little bit. And so I had that. I had a very good friend musician who taught me the proper way to string a guitar, and so I go about that the same way all the time. And then Frank Greathouse, I took some lessons from him on mandolin, because I play mandolin also. I went on a trip to a sabbatical, and I was gone for half a year, and instead of taking my guitar to lug around, I took a mandolin, and the first place I went was Peru, and I ended up trading that mandolin for a Andean 10-string mandolina, and I took some lessons on that also. Okay.
Is there anything from those lessons that you still use today, besides the actual chord formations?
Yeah, I still play the mandolin. I still play the guitar. I can play all of the songs that I play on the mandolin. I can play on the guitar, but
that's good.
I'm a lot freer form and more lead things on mandolin. I'm pretty much a rhythm guitarist.
Oh, okay. So what is it about music that makes you feel passionate?
I've always had some kind of little ditty or tune happening in my head that I always worried, does it sound too much like something? And so fairly continuously since I was a kid, I whistle a lot, and I hum to myself, and I've got some kind of tune going. But I really come to music through lyrics. I write poetry. I write a lot of poetry, or have in my life. And what happens is that if you tell people that you're going to tell them a poem, you probably should have locked the door first so that they don't flee. But if you put a guitar in front of you and do the same lyrics as a song, people are attracted to it. There's a little bit of an allure.
Right.
And so I use it as a prop to tell my poetry, frankly.
Well, I guess it makes me wonder about your writing process. And everybody always asks the songwriter, is it the music or the lyrics that come first? How does that work for you?
Yes.
Yes? I know, right? Sometimes it's one way, sometimes the other.
That's exactly right.
Is there a way I would say for me it's more music first, but it's not always that way. It's probably like 70-30 split for me. How is it for you?
You know, noodling around, well, having learned to play guitar or still learning to play guitar, one of the things that I found was that I wrote songs based upon what chords I could make. And so there weren't any F's for quite a while.
Right. I've had that problem with minors and seventh chords, of course.
So there's some of that happens. You sort of noodle around, or if you've got a song or some lyrics with some kind of hook to it, there's within the structure of the language itself, you find the breaks and the rhythms,
right.
And so then sort of adding them together. But yeah, each song is different.
Pretty much. That's pretty much the expected answer. So do you have a full band, or can you tell me about your band?
I do have a band, the Michael's Hibiscus Band. Back in 2004, Rick Brown, who was a fabulous musician, who had a TV show in Canada where he played his music and such. He had come to the Guitar Army there at Gilchrist Park and had been enjoyed playing along, and he took me aside and he says, "Michael, I really like your songs, and let's start practicing together and let's put a band together." And I said, "You want to play my songs?" I said, "That sounds great." And so Rick Brown was really prompted that. The next person out of the box was the drummer, JJ, John Johnson. He's a longtime merchant at Fisherman's Village, and he would actually come with he had a pickle bucket set of plastic buckets that he brought down. So it's not, because what happens is if you've got a drum kit, then acoustic goes out the window because you really are having to mix to the drums.
Right.
And so that's why you don't mostly have drummers in these acoustic setups. But we were going to go full Monty. I mean, we were going to do the full band, and so we had a drummer and two guitar players at the Guitar Army wanted to play music with me. Bruce Bowen and Kilo, Ken Blevins, and so there were 5 of us. That's right, yeah, 5 of us. And the Hibiscus Band, we played first at the Hibiscus Festival, and Hibiscus have 5 petals on their flower, and they've got 5 stigmata pads.
That makes sense. I didn't know that. Okay.
But so it's mostly been a 5-piece in most of its iterations. Wow. We've been invited to some other. We opened for some national acts at the Peace River Revival and at the Big Orange.
Okay.
And
awesome.
So when we did that, I added some more vocalists and some more percussion and flautist and a keyboard. We had an orchestra one time.
Oh, so you should have 10, so you have 2 hibiscus.
Yeah.
The double hibiscus band. So you mentioned the Guitar Army, and as you know, I work for History Services for Charlotte County. Can you just give us a quick rundown on how the Guitar Army came to be?
Yes. Johnny Cole and I, who we called ourselves Moonshine Holler. He was Moonshine and I was Holler, and we were practicing the songs that we had written, like Ode to Punta Gorda that we'd played at the city council, and a number of other songs. And we were playing, and my first wife, Debbie, we were living in an apartment on Shreve Street, and we were practicing there at the apartment, and she came out, she said, "You guys have to find someplace else to practice. I'm going to start disliking these songs, and I really don't want that to happen. So go find someplace else to practice." And so we went down to the gazebo, and that was on Wednesday nights. And on Wednesdays, we'd show up about 6 o'clock and we'd stay until 9 or 10, a little bit later. And a group started gathering around, just the audience, and some other musicians started coming and were there regularly. Mike Riley from the Boogeymen came to the Guitar Army in those days. Steve Blackwell was coming when he could. Steve was a librarian, and so he opened the library on Wednesday nights for the high school, and so unless school was out, he couldn't be there, but he was coming some, and so we started it on this every Wednesday. You knew that somebody was going to be there and you could play music, and which is what it takes. You have to have certainty, a good place that you have available to you, and a time that you know that everybody's going to show up, and you have a commitment to each other, and things grow from that. And then Johnny Cole died in a plane crash in the Abacos in 1991, and Steve Blackwell came to me and said, "Mike, we can't let this stop, and if we'll move it to Thursday nights, so that I'm not, because I've got a problem with Wednesdays, if you'll move it to Thursday nights, then I'll start showing up." And we moved it to Thursday nights, and it just blossomed into a grassroots for years. That was why people came to Punta Gorda, why people moved here, stayed here. I know people that got married who met there in the park. Children grew up through the Guitar Army and became fabulous musicians. People like Mike Imbasciani, who started playing at 11 down at the park, and who's now, he's in his early 20s, and he plays all over the place.
Are you guys still meeting today? Because I remember there was a time when we were doing it on top of the parking deck back
then. We did that because the Gilchrist Park was under reconstruction.
Right.
When they rolled it back out, we had just been out of the park for a year. It was really difficult. People started coming back, and the park really wasn't ready. Plus, they made new rules about you couldn't park on the grass. And the city of Punta Gorda just about killed the Guitar Army. Right. They didn't. It's still working along, and you can find people there on Thursday nights for acoustic and on Tuesday nights for amplified, because that was really a big conflict that we had for a while. Was that the amplified people, they brought a drum kit, they got a mix to the drum kit, all of a sudden they're blowing over top of everybody.
Yeah.
And so we finally, after they drove off the bluegrass guys, they just didn't want to put up with it anymore, and it was becoming a problem. We almost had fist fights. I went over and threatened to pull the plug on them.
Really? This has been a problem since Bob Dylan decided to pick up an electric guitar.
Yeah, and so through the help of one of the city council members at the time, Kim Devine, we got together with and came to an agreement that the city would allow them to have the amplified on Tuesdays, and that we would have the acoustic on Thursdays. And so that's the way it still lives today.
Okay. Well, I've seen you quite a bit through the years, and what attracted me a lot to Mike was his historical songs, and I love that about him. And so I've seen him play all the time, and he probably doesn't have a problem with this, but I have this question anyway. So what's your process for dealing with performance anxiety on stage, of course?
I don't have
You don't have any. I didn't think so. All right, so we'll skip that question.
Alcohol helps.
So, do you have a favorite performance of all time that always, if anyone asks you what was your favorite performance, what would that be?
I think that we knocked it out of the ballpark when we opened for what's his name, the Willie Nelson's son, The Promise of the Real.
Oh, really? You opened for him?
There were 3 bands between us.
That still counts.
But we knocked it out of the park on that one.
Okay. And conversely, what was your worst performance and why?
I was covering for somebody over at the Bean Depot in El Jabin because they got sick and couldn't make it. And so I showed up, and turns out that I had the flu also, and I struggled through one set of a 3-set gig and said, I gotta go.
Oh, well, you can't control that. Everybody gets sick from time to time. I've had that experience as well. And that's cool, you play the Bean. I play there every first Tuesday of the month, which is easy to remember, which is good for musicians. So what qualities would you say make a great musician?
Well, some of the things that we learned in the Guitar Army in a circle is that, because that's the way the Guitar Army worked, was that you're the star, then it's somebody else's turn and they're the star, and you take turns. And so being sensitive to the fact that other musicians are there and want to also play is important. The willingness to listen and just stop so that you're not riding over top of people. And so, yeah, tasteful sensitivity to your surroundings and your other musicians.
That is a very good answer, and I think all the kids at home should take his advice. Is there any advice that any musician gave you that you hold dear to you? I hear it all. I hear advice all the time. So,
play your passion. The people who become jaded because their career didn't take them where they wanted, or they found themselves playing the same songs until they're bored out of their minds, they need to step back and take some breaths and meditate a little bit and figure out how to like their music again.
Exactly.
Because you're doing it for the love and the passion of it, or else you're not doing it at all. You're not doing it service.
Well, I'm going to ask you about the instrument you're about to play in a second, but first tell me about the song you're going to play, because we always get one musician to play one song, and we want to know the story behind the song. So please let us know.
So this song is called Song for Ruth. Some people don't, because some of the lines in it that are the hooks are Heaven's on Fire, and so some people know it as that. But it's Song for Ruth, and after Johnny Cole died, and his dad and his stepmom and his fiance, well, the family of the stepmom, Maureen Jones had been, but Maureen Allen, Maureen Allen then became Jones, then became Cole, because married Wilbur H. Cole, Bud Cole, okay, president of Punta Gorda Isles. She had been a receptionist at the Farr Law Firm and met through because Bud was a client of the firm's. At any rate, a good chance meeting, and but when they died, her sisters were trying to work something up for their mom, who was turning 70, and they had brought me a handful of notes and anecdotes and such as that, and they said, "Here, would you write this song for my mom for her birthday?" And so I did, and I played it for her. And played it for the whole crowd at the party, and then I got to play it again for her over the years numerous times. Played it for her 90th birthday, and then Kilo and I played it at the Cleveland United Methodist Church at her funeral. And so it's a song about their family here in Punta Gorda and why they came and why they stuck.
Excellent. That's what I love about Michael. His songs are tied to the local history. A lot of his songs are tied to the local history, and I love the local history here. So we're going to grab that guitar and play that song.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to the CC Musician Factory. I'm Joe Garzo, and I'm here again with Michael Haymans. And before he plays the song, I'm just going to ask him the story behind this guitar. It's really interesting. It says Mackenzie on it.
This is a beautiful guitar. It was built by Keith McKenzie. He is a fabulous luthier. He makes... At the time he made this, he was making about 2 guitars a year. He was part of the Lakewood Open Mic gathering and Punta Gorda Guitar Army, and I'd been playing. My first guitar, other than the one that I strung and that one fell apart, was a Sigma, which is the Martin made in Korea, and then I had a Martin, which is now my backup guitar. Hallelujah for that. And this is my primary guitar. And my wife had talked to Keith about making me a guitar, and so he said, "Yeah, we'll start making payments on it, and once you get about half in, then I'll go ahead and start making the guitar." and so on. As a secret, and kept it a secret from me for over a year, he was working on a guitar that Dawn, my wife, had commissioned to have built. And so they knew already how I played, and that I wanted a big booming something that was for acoustic. And as a matter of fact, when they finally asked me, okay, we're about to do this and we're really going to ask a couple of things of you. Do you want it set up for electronics or not? And I said, oh no, purist, you know. And Chakula Smith said, you're out of your mind. You want to get on stage with that thing, put some good some good pickups in it. And so we did that. And so that was a minor adjustment before the end. And so I knew about the guitar before it was actually presented to me, but not for very long, and it had been years without me knowing about it.
Well, I
and
must
it's
say,
a fabulous guitar.
It is a beautiful guitar, and without further ado, here you go, Mr. Michael Haymans.
Heaven's on fire. Just look at that flaming sky. Heaven's on fire. Still Peace River washes by. Grandma's porch rock and sway. Watch the birds fly and wave. Florida backwoods, sparkman twinkles in her eyes. Florida backwoods came to town around 1935. Tarpon schooling on the bay. Near Punta Gorda's where they stayed. Worked hard all her life, tax collectors earn their pay. Friends abound, you know the ones won't let you down. Cleveland Methodist she prays. Bring the grandkids round to stay. Raised a family of her own, many more along the way. Beautiful daughters, and Robert's pretty in his own way. Bring the grandkids round to stay. Cancer dancer swirls and twirls through our life in town. Faith in God, nothing bad long keeps her down. Where you go, I will go. Lord, where you stay, I will stay. Heaven's on fire. Just look at that flaming sky. Heaven's on fire. Still Peace River washes by. Grandma's porch rock and sway. In Grandma's smile we're gonna stay. Heaven's on fire. Just look at that flaming sky.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it so much.
Thanks, Joe.
Michael Haymans, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for having us. Hopefully we'll have more editions of the CC Musician Factory soon. Take care.